Welcome to the Obsessed with Plants podcast. I'm David. I'm obsessed with plants with my co-host here.
My name is Chris, and I am in my happy place with my matcha in my wonderful mug by my friend Jeshua, the mind of the leaf. So today I'm excited because this is a very casual, chill podcast.
Yep.
I will still talk fast, but it is
just how
chill.
He talks. That's just how he talks.
Is how I talk. So today we're going to talk about overcoming burnout in the homestead, around the food forest, in the garden.
Just the farm in general.
Because let's be real, burnout's a real thing. Like it, and when it hits, it always seems to hit hard and hit at the least opportune time. It's like if I could plan the right time for burnout, it's never when it hits. It's always like
during the slow season, so winter, or in our case, summer.
Wouldn't it be nice if burnout happened then? No, it's like, no, burnout always happens when chickens just had chicks or cows just started calving, or the food forest is full of weeds. It's like the most inopportune time.
Exactly.
But I think, for all of us, it is not, is burnout going to hit? It's more, when is it going to hit? Yeah. Because I think the reality is, as Americans specifically, we don't pace ourselves very well.
No.
Like we're really bad at it. Like if you look at the major great religions of the earth, they all have days of like Sunday family day or Friday, Saturday, Sabbath, or Shabbat. Like there's always rest built in. And I feel like Americans just kind of go, nah, I'm going to go full force every single day of the week, 365 days of the year. I'm in it to win it. And nobody can do that. You know what I mean? Like nobody can live that way, let alone farm that way with family, with animals, with kids, with all the things.
And it's hard because nowadays, even if you would like to, it's you have to be so intentional about it. Yeah. Because everybody else is going to be like, oh, it's the weekend after you've been in a full week of work. Let's go party. And it's like, sometimes it's more exhausting to go out and party and all that other stuff than it is to just do the normal work.
I'm 40. Partying for me is like staying up until 9 o'clock.
Exactly.
Exactly. I just can't. I can't stay up that late anymore. But I also know myself as I am very much an introvert. I don't get my energy from being out with people. And people often mistaken for people that are quiet. Oh, they're the introverts. Well, maybe they actually get their energy from being out and about. I would say I'm the opposite. I'm very vocal when I'm with people, but then I go for like 4 days and I say nothing. The only thing that I pretty much say is
I'm the same way.
I talk to the dog and I'm like, Vala, stop eating peacock poop. And that's like the only thing I'll say for like 4 days. you know what I mean?
A lot of people to me are like, they'll call me up and they're like, oh, did I wake you? I was like, no, I just haven't spoken anything since I got up today.
Exactly.
I've just not made a single noise.
Exactly. I know. So for you, what do you do? What do you do to rest and recover? Like if you get a couple days off and you got to choose, like paint a picture for me of like, what would you do with like 3 days off? And we didn't talk about this before. It just came to mind. What would David do? So you magically now have 3 days off. Someone else is going to cover responsibilities. So what would be like, this is how I would paint my 3 days of rest.
I definitely think like you should always start with like that first day of kind of being like a lazy day if you can. Whether that's, just getting that extra hour sleep if you can, or, sometimes you have to get up anyways because you still have to do a few responsibilities regardless. But then, maybe go back to bed for an hour or something like that.
Or 4.
Well, that's an alternative advice of just sleep all day.
Yeah.
But then now people think you're depressed or something like that. So you got to be careful. Then that second day is, kind of pull yourself back, whether that's, fully doing something that you wouldn't normally do. So if you're the kind of person that goes out, stay in. If you're the kind of person who stays in, go out. Do something that gives a lot of difference to your path, or find something that is the same activity but is an alternative viewpoint, or whether it's like, oh, you're a farmer and you still want to be on a farm. Well, okay, go visit somebody else's farm. Because now it's not your responsibility. You're there as a tourist.
Right.
And you can still enjoy some of that farm aesthetics and stuff like that without being the one responsible.
And you don't have to think about all their work that they need to be doing. You can just enjoy it for what it is.
And you can also learn things too. I mean, just because you're taking a break doesn't mean you're not still learning.
Yeah. So that's your day 2. So you rested day 1, you're sleeping. Day 2, maybe go visit a farm, change it up. Like day 3, what would you do?
probably get back to work because then I'll be like, oh, well, I've taken too much time off.
I can't rest more than 2 days. I'm done. Sorry.
That's funny. But yeah, probably more resting and getting like that mental image of like, okay, what needs to be done, but kind of in a way that's you're not actually working. You're not trying to stress yourself out about the work, but it's like, okay, I can hit the ground running without needing to do anything. So it's like, okay, well, if you have to do laundry or whatever, that way you don't have to do it later, even though you're still working. You're just prepping yourself so that way you can hit the ground running without actually making it too intensive. Because
that's good.
If you have nothing else to do and laundry is the only thing you have to do today, laundry's not bad. But if you're out in the farm wrangling a chicken that got out and you still need to do laundry and you're dirty and so it's like, and then you forget your laundry and so you have to wash it again. Yep. That's a lot more stressful than okay, today is my day where I just plan stuff out. I sit at the table, physical rest. Maybe mental stimulation.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, I think for me, I'm similar in that I need day one to dial down because I think my brain is a lot like the highway. It's kind of like the highway of my heart, I guess you could say. And it takes me a full day just to quiet the highway and to like fully dial down. I used to go a lot to this place called Conception Abbey. It was this Benedictine monastery in Conception, Missouri. And it would literally take me 1 or 2 full days to get my brain to shut up. Like I just need to dial down. And then I feel like for me, if I could have 3 days, I'd do day 1 is dial down, Conception Abbey, go to a monastery somewhere. And then probably day 2 for me would be like puttering. I just get all these things on my list and y'all know me, I'm a checklist person. I love to just tick the boxes off or whatever. And so for me, it's like, if I could just go in and have a day to just putter on projects. My dad and I, and my brother too, we are such putters. We could just take weeks and just putter on things and go, here's this project, here's that. I'm going to go clean all of the tools in the toolbox and re-oil the shovels and sharpen the chainsaw blade. Like I just love putter projects, and that is restful for me.
Because that right there sounds like a lot of work to me.
Oh, I love it. And I may not even finish all of them, but I'll start a lot of them and just tick a few things off the list. And then probably for me, definitely the third day, I would be opening up my planner. I'm a hard planner person. I journal. I use the Passion Planner. And I've used it for probably 10 years. And I just love to journal and plan things out. Goal setting. And just going, okay, God, what do you want me to be doing the next month or the next quarter? And just kind of getting things back into focus, I think is how I would spend my third day. So that'd be me. When we think about burnout, and let's be honest, we have quite a few friends right now that are really on the journey of burnout. I don't want to say they're dealing with burnout because burnout is not like a cancer.
It's very different for everybody. The reasons can be completely different. Yeah. I mean, and for some people they don't want to do it anymore. There's some people who it's like, how can I do it differently? And some people it's like, I just need a break. But when it comes to farm stuff, you can't really take a break. So
you can't. But I think it's important to realize burnout is not a disease for us. It's just part of our journey. And every part of a journey looks different. When you're going on a road trip, not every point of the road trip is highway driving 70 miles an hour. Sometimes you're pulling off at a roadside park or Ripley's Believe It or Not, or you're pulling off at this weird farm stand down the road, or you got to stop for the night and get gas and rest. And that's part of the journey, And
something like an analogy I just thought of while you were talking. I feel like burnout is that same cycle of like giving your chickens a heat lamp at night so they keep producing eggs.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you can do that, but it's just stressing out the bird when really that should be a time of rest. And maybe burnout for you is just, it's not that you're necessarily done, but it's your body and mind telling you, hey, this is a time to cycle into something a little different. Change it up.
And those circadian rhythms for both chickens and the rest rhythms for us are super important. And I think that's when we get into an imbalance is we leave that heat lamp on for too long and then our body is stressing, So let's talk a little bit about like what for food foresters and homesteaders, what are the most common causes that you've seen that cause burnout or that get people on that trajectory, of the journey? Because it's going to come back around. Yeah. The road's going to reconnect later on. But like, what are some of the causes of that kind of segue in the journey into, I'm in the burnout mode?
I think a good, a very common one is people doing way too much, way too soon. They kind of over or underestimate what they want to do or are willing to do. Whether that's going to your local farm store and looking at all the chicks and saying, oh yeah, I can handle 80 of those. Well, 80 chicks ain't hard to handle, but 80 full chickens, that's a different story. Or that's, planting out your garden too big and suddenly,
you have more weeds than tomatoes.
Exactly. And just kind of getting out of hand too quickly before you've kind of assessed what's the way to do it, or even just over enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Sometimes enthusiasm can cause you the most stress because you're so excited because you see a farm that's maybe twice your size, three times your size, and you're like, oh, I could do that. And you probably can. Yeah. But they went through that whole cycle to get there. And so by jumping straight in to try to match them, sometimes doesn't work. It causes some issues.
Yeah. And I think in a lot of households, people have one person that is all gung-ho of we're going to have chickens and a garden and a food forest and a whatever. And then there's another person in the household, a spouse or whatever, that's going, okay, well, here we go. And they may not be fully on board for that, And so that's too much too soon, but it's also too much weight with maybe not enough team, not enough people that have buy-in to the vision to go, this is where our family or our house or our farm is supposed to go. They've got too much too soon and not enough team to help balance to get that vision where it needs to go. You know what I mean?
And that can take so many different forms. I know me and my wife, we're very, very different people. Even though we share a common goal of like, yes, we want the farm, we want, animals, we want this sort of thing. She would literally die if she had to do all the manual labor when it came to it. Mm-hmm. She can't do the heat. She can't do a lot of the physical labor. Not that she can't do those athletic things, but she just can't handle the way the climate we're in. She probably can if we're in like Iceland or something, but I can't. I'll die in the cold. So it's like it's a catch-22.
Yeah. But she does balance you. I think one of the neat ways, and I'll just share this, I've been hearing you guys on the phone the last day or two, and David's talking about like, the fruit trees, and we'll do this with the horses. And, they're both kind of talking about this new cat that they're getting, which is like speaking Chinese to me. But as they're talking, she goes, well, David, I want more pretty flowers. And what about this flower and this flower? And David's going, nope. But I do feel like she is right in bringing you into balance of like the productivity with the beauty and the rest. And she's doing really well at like bringing your household, into a place of balance, which I think is really beautiful. You each have your own passion.
And context that you're not getting is in most cases, it's, I'm saying no while we're on the phone. That's just because it's the third or fourth time I've said no.
Plant them anyway.
Well, that's the thing is it's not really so much a no. It's just not right now.
Yeah.
She picks plants and flowers that look pretty, but she's looking at like more northern flowers. Or flowers that are in our zone, but they are very climated. So they're fine for spring flowers up north. Yeah. But down here, they're not a summer flower. They're an early spring, winter flower.
But Hannah, I got you. Don't worry.
So it's like, okay, we are going to do the flowers next year. Yeah. Yeah. But right now, it's the middle of summer. They're just going to immediately get diseased. And then I'm out there spending hours trying to keep these poor things alive. So it's just all about the right time.
Yep. The time and knowing you guys are a good team and you're going to find a way to balance it for you. But for people that don't balance it, that does cause that trajectory into the burnout thing. I also think
shared goals.
Shared goals. Yeah. And I think that's another really good reason is sometimes families or household, they're not all on the same page for the vision. And when they're not on the same page, the cost is too powerful for the vision. So I think by that, I mean, not just the cost financially, like it's going to cost us too much money, dear spouse, to do this food forest. We're not spending $20,000 to do a food forest. Sure. But there's also the cost of time, of resources, of energy levels. And I mean, that's all a cost for that vision.
I mean, and money is always like a major factor with everything, of course, but I feel like money's more of just the underlying issue, like a symptom rather than the actual cause. Because, the only reason money would be an issue is because, you need to spend time not doing this in order to make enough money. Yeah. But a lot of times, like, money's not necessarily the issue. It's that you don't have enough time to do it.
Right.
You don't have enough energy to do it.
Yep.
Because the money is just another resource that you need, whether it's you don't have enough mulch, money, whatever.
Yep.
But it's that willing to dedicate that time. Are they willing to, if you have a spouse, is there something that they like to do that could take difficulties and strains off you in order for you to do that? Right. If you both, like me and my wife, I'm going to be out there with the shovel. She's not. Mm-hmm. But she's more willing to do other things. She's more willing to buy me a shovel, it's like,
right.
And she doesn't mind because that's where she excels and we're still moving forward together. However, you can have that differently. But if you don't have that shared vision and,
And those steps forward, those wins along the way, the new shovel, the flower that, just bloomed, those things are really important to help keep us out of burnout too. It's like I've seen a couple of food foresters in the last year that they got burned out because they didn't see enough fruit quickly. They needed to see like productivity, and they were like, oh, it's a failure. All I got were a couple mulberries. And it's like, hey, friend, you planted a tree this big. It's going to take a couple years, and that's okay. You know, 3 to 5 years.
Yeah. And I part-time at a edible fruit tree nursery. I'm not going to say who, you probably know who it is, but I'm not going to say just for the client's anonymity, but there's many times where I'm helping out there and you have clients come in and they're like, oh, I want fruit. I'm like, okay, well, do you need it right now or do you need it later? And they're like, well, I just want fruit. I'm like, well, your little trees are going to produce more long-term, but your big trees are going to produce right now. It's like, you're like, oh, I need it right now.
All right.
And it's like, okay,
30-gallon avocado tree, $285 or whatever.
More than that.
Yeah.
It's a lot more than that.
Yeah. So it's important to weigh those costs and go, what things do I need to put a little more money into to get fruit quicker, like an avocado or a mango, or what things like mulberries are going to produce for you really fast. So I think having some successes that first year is important, but as new food foresters, I think it's also important to set your mindset right and go, you know what? It's going to take a year to survive, a year to grow, a year to thrive, and 5 years until these trees are really at a mature state to where you're getting maximum productivity from them. And it's important to keep those expectations of you're not going to be overflowing with the cornucopia on your table year 2. It's just not going to happen.
And sometimes I think it's about adjusting for micro success. It's like, okay, if you need a ton of blueberries because you want to be making jam and selling them as like a, farmer's market type thing.
Yeah.
That's cool. And that's fine. Plant them out. But maybe plant a few in pots that you can fertilize and all this other stuff close to the house. That way, if you have kids who like eating the berries and that's kind of like your grounding to that activity, you can still have that very quickly. And you can still have that little success of, we made one jar of blueberry jam, and that's for the family. Versus if you have them all planted out and they're taking that 3 or 4 years to really thrive. It can be hard to just stare at these blueberry plants that aren't producing anything. It's like,
when are they going to give me fruit?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's super hard.
So trying to time those micro successions just to kind of keep that invigoration.
Yeah. Little steps are still steps in the journey, And so I think, there's a lot of causes. We could probably talk for 25 more minutes on just the causes of burnout. But I think the reality is that burnout is going to happen. And it's okay.
Yep.
And I think that heart posture, when we do experience burnout, is important, that we posture ourselves in a place that we can accept burnout, or tiredness rather. We can accept the fact, I am tired and I do need to rest. And it's important to lift our eyes up and look forward. Yep. Instead of looking back on, I failed on this, I didn't do this, I didn't wood chip, now the weeds are too thick, and this chicken passed away, and whatever. It's like, you know what? Stop looking backward, eyes up, look forward, and how do I engage in actual rest?
Yeah. And sometimes that resting period can be extremely helpful if you want to still continue. And a lot of times the burnout is, and at least for me, I know I still want to be moving forward, but I can't get excited about it anymore, or I can't find myself moving forward. Yeah. So sometimes that just taking a break, finding a way to take a break, reanalyze the situation. Yeah. How can I move this forward?
Yeah.
Like with me personally, it was this last year I wasn't at the farm very much. So it really provided me opportunities where it's like, okay, I've pulled back a little bit. I don't have the time to work on it.
Right.
And so it's like, well, what is the things I really truly need? Instead of being disappointed that like, oh, my mulberries got, nematodes and they're dying or whatever. Yeah. It's like, okay, well, what's the real issue here? Well, real issue is I need them to be healthier. Mm-hmm. So I need, overstory trees because the ones underneath other trees are healthy and fine. Yeah. So it's like, okay, I need to pull back. I made the big mistake of I want to all fruit trees because ultimately you need more than fruit trees. So for me, it was like, okay, no more fruit trees. Heck with the fruit trees. We'll just work on building everything else up. Then we'll add them back later.
Yeah.
But without that pulling back and,
getting the right perspective,
wouldn't have done that because I would have just been focused on it's not fruiting. Well,
that makes sense. And I think a lot of people, when they experience that, they get frozen. They get frozen in the fear that, well, I can't stop because if I stop doing X, Y, and Z on the farm, this is going to die. This is going to be overtaken. This is never going to produce fruit. This is going to look bad and the neighbors are going to be mad. They get frozen in fear and they get paralyzed. It reminds me of, there was the old books in the 70s, Frank Herbert's Dune. There's like the new movies out now, which are pretty good. And in the books, there is the litany against fear. I don't think they've even said it yet in the movies. But the phrase that they use is, I will not fear. Fear is the mind killer. It's the little death that causes total obliteration. So I will face my fear. I will let it pass through me. And when it passes, only I will remain. And I feel like sometimes that's a posture I need in the food forest or on the homestead or the farm, is I'm not going to worry. I'm not going to worry about how I'm going to manage this. Is this going to be okay? Is my food forest going to look good enough? I just need to face it and let it pass through me. Like I need to dial myself down, quiet the highway of my heart again, get that perspective like you're talking about and go, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. My food forest does not have to be Instagram ready for everybody all the time. That's okay. You know?
And yeah, leaning on the social media aspect, that I think has made a lot of people infinitely worse when it comes to this kind of anxiety. Is it's very easy to see the success of everybody on social media and their pretty gardens. And it's really, especially when a lot of times they're too far away to visit, or they're, you know, maybe private and you can't really visit them. Yeah. So you don't really see all the other stuff that goes with it. You know, so it's like, oh yeah, that picture is the prettiest part of their garden. Yeah. Of course it's going to look good, you know.
If they just showed you that much of their garden when everything else is full of weeds.
They've taken four pictures. I think almost every single one of us who has a garden can find 4 spots in their yard that are Instagram worthy.
Sure.
But we don't see the 4 little spots. We see the whole picture, and the whole picture's a mess.
Oh, exactly.
And so it's,
So for those that are facing this, that are full on in that journey, they are in burnout, and maybe they haven't admitted it to themselves yet, but maybe their spouse is going, I can see it. I know they're in burnout. So let's talk a little bit about how to navigate burnout when you're in that journey, because really it's not just you individually, you're doing it as a family, you're doing it as a farm team or a farm staff, you're doing it as a community. So there really are practical things to consider, but I want to mainly focus on like, what are some general things that we can do to help us in that journey? Because the nuances are going to change. So we're not going to talk about get a plan for your chickens, get a plan for how you're going to water the horses every day. Not going to talk about that. Those are all doable. Let's talk about some general things of like, how do we manage this? What do we do once we go, crap, I'm burned out? So what do you think is like kind of number one on your list of like, okay, how do I start this?
I think trying to find ways that you can either limit the work as much as possible, or if you can, cut it all together, depending on what that is. Kind of minimizing the workloads. So if you have birds, for example, kind of think of like, okay, are they there as for eggs and that sort of thing, or are they pets? If they're pets, obviously you want to keep them. But if you're there just for the meat, just for the eggs, maybe think, okay, do I want a year or 2 off where I just don't take care of the chickens? Because removing animals from your life, that takes out so much work, and you don't want to get rid of don't get rid of your dogs, your cats. I'm not saying that. Have some responsibility for them. But if it's something that you're raising for meat anyways, maybe you're like, okay, well, these are about the maturity age. Let's harvest them for meat, or donate them to somebody who wants them for that purpose too. Some people are just getting into chickens, and sometimes it's nice to start with egg layers. Find somebody who will take them.
If you think about just chickens in general, those are 3 to 5 times a day you're having to check on them. You can't be gone after dark. You've got to be back at sunset to put the birds in. You're always thinking about chickens, and the cost is a lot. And it's hard to say goodbye to them, but sometimes we need to say goodbye for a year or 2 or 3 to step back and go, okay, okay, I need the perspective. I need to free up my life. And chickens are great, but they are golden handcuffs. Like they're gold. They're wonderful. I love me some chickens, but they're handcuffs. They do require time, energy, people, and interactions. So it's like sometimes putting it on ice means pressing pause. Sometimes putting a farm on ice means I need to find my chickens a new home for a while. And that's okay. Like that's actually the right thing. Your chickens are not the priority. Your family is the priority.
And
your house is the priority. God is your priority, you know?
And the amount of time and just kind of relief you'll find in not having that, you know, constant responsibility. It'll take a little bit of time or money off the budget. Maybe you can spend that on yourself, get that extra, you know, massage or whatever, you know.
Chicken feed's $37 a bag right now for the good stuff. So it's like
a couple weeks of chicken feed and boom, you got yourself a massage right there.
Oh yeah. My gosh. Not a very good massage for $37.
No, it's a couple weeks. Okay. I said a couple weeks. No.
I'm not in Thailand right now. They have good massages for like $37. Those are great.
I don't know about that, but
yeah. But I think sometimes putting it on ice, like you're saying, is get rid of birds. Yep. Sometimes it's minimizing the process a little bit and going, hey, this is a needless system I don't need. So it might be like with raised beds and just going, hey, I need to just throw a cover crop in my raised beds for a year or wildflower seed and just let it go.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Something that you're not going to have to take care of. If it's something that you just want a quick break, then you can put in like a perennial or something that's like 2 or 3 years for its growing cycle rather than every couple months.
Yeah.
If it's something that you're like, oh no, I don't want to grow stuff for a good while, hard reset.
Right.
Think about, putting a cover crop in there and then maybe covering it up with a tarp or something, kind of let it rest. That's part of that cycle of resting your soil. Ideally, you'd have a cover crop in there just to keep the bacteria and good bacteria and stuff up. But if you're wanting to go full on, you know, or something that, you know, you harvest once a year, sweet potatoes. You just throw a bunch of sweet potatoes in there.
And walk away and you're done. What was the phrase you used earlier? We're talking about raised beds. I think it was before we started filming. And we're talking about minimizing needless systems at raised beds. And you said something else about the systems. I can't remember the phrase. Converting the systems is what you said. Yep. How to convert a system. Yep. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, yeah, you're focused. If your focus is on annuals, you're constantly thinking, oh, I have to get these seedlings in the ground in 2 days and I've got these in 3 weeks. And just converting those annual systems or converting those chicken coops or, you know, finding a purpose that maybe still aligns with your overall path that you still want to do. But allowing it to benefit while you're resting and let it rest too. If you have a chicken coop that you don't let them free range, well, eventually there's going to be too much bacteria and it'll be harmful for your chickens if you leave them too long.
Yeah.
So plant a cover crop, plant some beans, some happy hen mix, and just let the weeds take over your chicken coop.
Yeah.
And then in 2 or 3 years, if you want to do chickens again, you put them in and now they have plenty to eat. You know, there's a benefit to them there.
100%. I even think
plant shade trees over your chicken coop. You know, there's ways that you can really benefit the raised beds, benefit your system, benefit you by just converting that from a frequent short-term reward into a slow long-term reward.
Totally. I think for me personally, looking at weeds in the food forest is hard. It triggers me when things are not mulched. I love mulch and I love it to look pristine, but there's some seasons of life where I'm like, I just can't mulch right now. I just can't do wheelbarrow after wheelbarrow every day after every day. And so probably the appropriate response is I'm going to cover crop my food forest for a year and let the weeds and the wildflowers all grow up together. And then in a year or two, I'll come back in and I'll weed whack it down. I'll put down some, contractor paper and I'll mulch it all over again. I'll put the chickens in. It's going to be fine. Yeah. It may not look like perfect mulch, for a year or two while I'm resting, but it's going to do its job. I love that phrase you use, converting the system to something else. So going, you know what? I can't mulch. Here's what I can do. I can spread seed and I can walk away and just let nature, take its course. I would say the third thing that comes to my mind, we talk about stabilizing, putting it on ice, converting the systems. For me, would be focusing on relationships and people, because that's the first thing to go for me when I'm busy. Is I don't see people, talk to people. I don't do anything with humans at all. I don't call people the way that I should. I just go off grid. And so refocusing my energy on, I need to ask for help from family or from friends. I need to prioritize those relationships. For some people, it's their marriage of going, I need to focus on my marriage for a season, not on the farm, not on the cows or the horses. I need to focus on my marriage. And so I think for me, that number 3 is like reprioritize people. People and family that's why we food forest anyway, right?
Yeah,
to feed them.
Yeah. Why do you do anything? It's to benefit you, to benefit others. And if you're not doing either of those two things, why are you doing it? Really?
Yeah. It is about family. I remember when I was the CEO of the event space, is the phrase that we would often use is family comes before function. Is that sure, the space does need to be functional, but it needs to provide a landing place for community, for our neighbors, for the other businesses, for the church family that was in the building. Like really being able to prioritize humans and family above the farm and the homestead and the function of it that way.
Well, I think with farms, that's the first thing to go too. And I think too many farmers get caught up with their farm, not working or functioning or making money. And it's hard because at least here in the States, and I know other countries overseas, farms are at this point practically hated. Everybody likes the idea of a farm, but nobody actually likes the idea of supporting farms. And so, it's hard, but then you kind of realize like, well, the whole point of having a farm is to benefit your family. Indirectly or directly. Even if you're community focused, I mean, at the end of the day, like it doesn't matter why you're helping the community, it still helps you. Now, nobody should look at it for that reason, but at the end of the day, you're helping your community, they help you. That's what it's all about. But if you prioritize the functioning of your system over the functioning of your family, well,
and I think that
there's no point.
The functioning of that system can actually help protect our family too. And I think that's another strategy. So we'll say that strategy number 4 is like protecting your family and the time. So protecting our space, we're looking at the perimeters. We're looking at, do we have good fences, to give our family privacy? But also, are we protecting the boundaries of our family and our time? So when somebody gets home from work, we don't want to be jumping in right at that moment to farm chores when that should be family time. How was your day? Hey, let's sit down and have a glass of iced tea together, and prioritizing those things by assessing the perimeters of our family as does our farm and our family have good boundaries where we respect the physical boundaries, but we also have boundaries of time and space and attention. And, those boundaries really matter,
Whether it's a specific time of the day, whether it's a whole day, whether it's, you need a week, pick that time where it's like, nope, we're not, unless it's an absolute emergency, no farm stuff today. This is a family day, not a farm day. Whether that's taking the family out to Disney or, going to the movies or even just staying at the house, but just not doing farm stuff.
That's
completely
good.
Disconnect from it. And you can still keep refocusing your vision. I like to go to, my reason for liking Disney is because they have really cool, planting things out, cool demonstration gardens.
Demonstration gardens.
Lou Gardens is a beautiful place to go. So you can still kind of refocus that vision, but still kind of pulling back as that's a family time.
And I think that helps us rediscover the joy and the wonder of the food forest. And it gives us that joy of life and joy of connectivity and being integrated in a community. It helps us rediscover those things a little bit and reconnect to it. And I'm thinking of a friend of mine who owns a nursery business. And a few years back, they decided, hey, we're going to take we'll just say Tuesday. We're going to take every Tuesday and we're going to spend it together, husband and wife. And that's just our day. We're going to go play. We're going to canoe. We're going to have fun. We're going to go visit a greenhouse. And they rediscovered joy and wonder, and their marriage is thriving because of it. Like the beauty that creates relationally and in the home is what saved them, I think, from burnout, and what got them through that season. And there's so many ways, to rediscover that joy. For some, it's going to be reading a book. For some, it's going to Disney to the Harry P. Lou Gardens. But I think that's huge, is do something fun that's going to help you rediscover joy. For me, honestly, sometimes it's going and buying a new expensive plant that I have no idea what I'm going to do with it. And I go home and I plant it immediately. And even if it's in the wrong spot, I'm like, I just need to do something that's a win. That's going to bring me joy. And I can go replant it later. I can figure it out. But sometimes me doing something when I don't feel like I should be doing it, it does help me a little. One of the things that I started doing in Kansas City is when I was going through really tough times, I had this dream once. And in the dream, I was reminded of that scripture of, that the Lord cares for the sparrows. How much more will I care for you? And so when I was at this time, I was a missionary. And in the dream, that God provided for me when I fed the birds. I spent my last $5 on bird seed. And so even now in my adult life, if I'm going through a challenging time, not that I have like $5 in my bank account, but it's like I have $15 in my bank account now. I'm doing way better as an adult, so it's like, I'll still go, you know what? I'm going to go spend it on birdseed because it's what brings me joy. Yeah. And so literally if I have a tough week, I'll probably go to Wild Birds Unlimited and buy a bag of birdseed because it brings me joy. It brings me wonder, and it re-sparks that connection to nature in my garden, in the food forest, in my own weird way. You know what I mean? So what other strategies have you found helpful for burnout? Because you've navigated the burnout season in and out before. I mean, we all have. So what are the ones that you felt?
Ebb and flows, just like the weather,
Yep.
Yeah, for me, it's a lot of it can be weather related. Sometimes, it's like you said earlier, not that shared vision. Sometimes it's really hard if you're not on the same page. Yeah. Even if like on paper, you all want the same things. Everybody has a different way of doing it. Oh, and if you don't have that shared vision, it can be very, very difficult.
Yep. Oh, totally. And I keep going back to your imaginary day of I've got 3 days off, and the first thing that you said was I'm resting. Like I'm actually going to sleep in. I'm going to sleep in for an hour. I said 4, and it's like sometimes we forget resting just helps. Like it does help to sleep in. And you think about adults, like some adults are getting 4, 5, 6 hours a night. Yeah. That is not enough. No. Like humans, it is proven again and again and again. We need to sleep. We need to sleep in darkness without blue lights, and all that crazy stuff. We need actual circadian rhythms. And a lot of people can't even fall asleep. They're struggling to sleep. It's like they've forgotten how to rest. It's like my magic cure for sleep is take 3 magnesium pills. And I use the like Wild Foods Co. I don't get any kickback from them. I wish I did. Not sponsored. Not sponsored at all. But I use 3 of those. It's like a multi-source magnesium. It has like 4 or 7 different types of magnesium in it. Yeah. And man, I take 2 or 3 of those and I sleep like a child, like straight up sleep. But it's amazing how good you feel when you rest and you go take a nap in the dang hammock, know?
And in a lot of cases, like for me, the big kicker is knowing that I don't have to be up. And I tell myself, I'm not going to wake up early tomorrow. I don't. Because I'm not thinking, oh, I need to get up early. I need to do this. I need to do that. Right. Or, oh, I have to go here. If you just like know that you don't have to wake up, sometimes you just sleep better.
Yeah. And that relates back to what you said before about the importance of getting perspective. And when you have that good perspective, then you can look at it, the farm, you can look at your garden, your food forest and go, I don't have to do that right now. I don't have to accomplish everything on Chris Edler's to-do list every month. I can do one thing, and that is still a win. It's a freaking win to do one thing on the list. And if that one thing is rest and take care of the gardener, your garden's going to be okay. Like it really, really is going to survive. So I don't know. For me, this was really helpful to talk about this way because it's something that we all struggle with. We're going to be on that journey and that path of burnout occasionally. But I would say when people are on that journey and kind of nearing the end and they're thinking, I want to jump back in, something that I would really say from personal experience is not to jump back in too fast and ease back in really slowly. I make that mistake a lot is I jump in and go, I'm going full bore. I'm doing 111%, not what you need to do after burnout because you're going to end up right back in the hospital, again. And so I'm saying that as we kind of near the end of this because I'm really saying it to myself. And that's important for all of us to know ourselves, know what we need, what our family needs, what our farm needs, so we know how to usher them into a season of rest, Yeah. Well, this was fun. My matcha is officially gone. There's a little bit left in the bottom. It's a little bit cold. So hopefully this was helpful to you guys in your journey on your path with your farm and your family and all your feathered and furry animals. So take a minute, do all the social media things, and hopefully you'll be able to find your way back, listen to some of the podcasts that you've missed, and join us in for the next one. We'll see you guys soon.
And for our viewers who are actually watching rather than listening, if you like this setup, we're kind of in a debate of what to do with the set. I kind of like this feel, but if you like the previous set, let us know. We'll appreciate all the feedback. Anyways, we'll see you in the garden.
See you soon.
Later.
Think we're ready.
Well, everything's recording, so it's just a matter of starting.
All
right. And welcome to the Obsessed with Plains podcast.
Today, oh no.
Today we're going to be doing a little bit of ASMR.
Undo button. Undo button. Undo button. Radio voice. Radio voice.
I'm gonna leave this in.